What up, peeps? It's your girl, Dash. Come back on Pigs. Well, it's that time I got some movie review time, and this is for Wolfman. This was directed by Leigh Whannell, starring Christopher Abbott, Julie Gardner, and Matilda Firth. Now, before I jump into my review, just want to note that this one I will keep it spoiler free. Also, got a couple of thoughts I want to, talk about after I give my overall review and my rating on the film overall. And before we actually jump into it, I will say I was excited for this, being, of course, person behind the lens, being Winnell directing. I am a fan of his work going back to Saw. And then knowing that he's, of course, was attached to Insidious, when he finally, gave us his film Upgrade, then, of course, one of my favorites, The Invisible Man, I was down for this. Now, mind you, I did say when I saw the trailer how there were certain other individuals who were actually attached to this at the time to star, and that was, of course, Ryan Gosling, but then he stepped back. And then when I found out Christopher Abbott was going to be attached to this, I was very excited about that because I've seen some of his work before, especially I think the first movie he introduced me to was It Comes at Night. And then from there, I just kind of follows his work from there. Now, being that we also have another individual I'm a fan of their work, and that's Julie Gardner, definitely with Ozark, just like, okay, I'm liking the way this is coming together. So knowing that, of course, it is dealing with, Universal monsters, we're doing Invisible Man. We also have Guillermo del Toro's, what is it, Frankenstein coming out soon. I'm excited about that. And I think I heard James Wan is working on The Creature of the Black Lagoon. So my hypeness for this, because for a while, when they were trying to start up the Universal monsters, they had certain individual actors like Tom Cruise, Javier Bardem, Johnny Depp, and all that. So hype was real, but then certain things kind of pushed the wayside once that, certain films came out, and it was just like, so just to know that as a steady, way of doing it now this time around, and certain directors, the helm, I'm very excited about the prospect of this. Now, with that being said, let's just go ahead and just jump into it, and I'll keep the rest of my thoughts at the end. Now, with this film, I will say, being that it is the Wolfman, and it brings me back, hence to the one that came out in what 1941, and being that this one centers around, of course, the character Blake, played by Christopher Abbott, you're dealing with a situation where it culminates with the way they do the opening scene, where we see, a couple of, certain statements that are brought up in regards to what's happening. And this is centering around, I want to say Oregon, from where you see the opening scene with, of course, Blake and his dad. And I know how they culminate about a story that happened where it all centers around, as they noted it as the face of the wolf. Now, I will say the dynamic when you first start dealing with the character Blake, you see him, of course, young. And I will say in regards to him and seeing his dad, certain things, are discussed in regards to him keeping his son safe, how he makes it very known, very, you know, straight and narrow and all that. Definitely because he has a back, of course, in the military, so, waking up at a certain time, but not being prepared, going out, looking deer hunting and all that. And then making sure Blake, is straight and narrow and all that, the way he has him. He wants him to be very disciplined in his, everyday life and all that. And you can see at times the way Blake is about making sure, his father's not, upset with him, he's doing the right thing and all that. But then he kind of veers off, and there's a moment that happens in the film where, he could have put himself and, at risk, and his father has to kind of, explain to him anything could happen, being very straight to the point with him about certain things happen. You could get hurt, you can die, whatever, and all that. And you could say it puts a little bit of a fear in Blake in instances. I will say, gravitating from that incident, which happens where they show him 30 years prior as a child, and then 30 years later, where it shows him with his own family, you can see the way he carries on, the way about how he tends to his own family. You see him with his wife, Julie Gardner, and also his daughter, Ginger, played by Matilda Firth. She does an amazing job. The young little girl was amazing in this film. I will say I like how there's a moment between the two where they're together, and she's not listening to dad giving her, telling her, something he gives her a direct order to do, and she's kind of doing what he says. And he kind of gets a little firm with her. That's how his father was firm with him. But then he was just like, I like how he kind of talks it down a little bit, explained to her, I didn't like the way that sounded, the way my tone, this and that, I don't want to be like that. Kind of bringing him back to how probably his dad was with him. This like there's a different way to do it, and I like how I kind of brought it down a little bit where she didn't feel a certain way, and then she kind of opened back up and all that, and they went about their day out in the city. Now the dynamic of him and his wife, you can see definitely a little bit of a strain there. Her being a journalist, I think him, of course, if I'm not mistaken, being a writer, for the moment, him taking care of their daughter, and then with her being that she's, dealing with work, bring kind of work home. making certain calls and all that, it kind of meshes. Now, clearly you can see that the dynamic of the family and all that, where the dad's kind of, the daughter kind of clings to the dad a little bit more than she's clinging with her mommy. Mom is, definitely working, doing her little thing, but things start to happen where you see him dealing with a situation where he's received some documents where it's letting him know that the father is considered deceased, so now he can go back to that farmhouse in Oregon and tend to things in the home. So he can maybe pack things up, whatever all the hints. If you remember the trailer, you see a truck, clear as a moving truck to kind of, do what he needs to do so they can, use his time to spend time as a family, and also he can handle certain things from his own past. That was, an instance with his father, but you see how things take a turn, and you see the situation happens where something clearly was in the road, and it causes the accident to happen, which leads to the situation where he ends up getting, scratched and all that. And then let me just clarify a situation that happens. And a lot of people, because I watched a couple of reactions previously in regards to someone getting, of course, killed in this, whatever. And it is, there's a gentleman I wanted to know, and I did write his name. I think his name is Benedict Hardy. He plays the character Derek. Is even short and sweet as it was. There were certain things that were discussed within the film, that adds just a little bit, but definitely, in and out of the film. So I just wanted to kind of give, a little shout out to his particular character. But being that we see the scene from there, you see how things start to shift after, him getting scratched, him getting his family to the house, and now you're worried about this, whatever this, evil creature, whatever that's, out there lurking, probably, centering the house and all that, and him trying to keep his family safe. Definitely the daughter's, scared, the wife's not understanding what's going on, whatever. And now you're trying to figure out first of all, what do we have in this house? What are we going to do to tend to the situation? Now, with the overall story, I would say the overall directing with this. I will also say the way we had the cinematography, the atmosphere, the soundtrack culminating throughout this whole thing made this overall storyline for me very engaging. There were instances in regards to the atmosphere were definitely different. Um, I will also say in regards to the cinematography at times, yes, the soundtrack definitely with certain scenes that were very tense. The music definitely added to that. I will also say, in regards to watching Blake slowly go through his transformation, seeing how him trying to keep some resemblance of humanity within him, all the while, you could see that it's not going to be enough for what's going to come in regards to him and what's happened to him. Watching certain moments that I also there's a couple scenes where I like the way the camera switches back and forth, where you see it in a form of a perspective from Blake and then perspective from his family. At times, more so the wife played by Julie Garter, Charlotte, and they were definitely interesting in the instance, him looking and okay, if you saw the trailer, listening to them speak and not really understanding, and her like, him looking and not realizing, not really being able to talk, can't get his words out, not realizing what you're saying, all that, and having to write things down. When they were talking about the practical effects, the special effects, definitely were engaging. Some of the gore in here, yeah, at times I did have to turn, like, oh my God, when Leigh Whannell said in recent actual interviews how he took certain films, one of them being The Fly, definitely so. I definitely agree there. Also, as well, like I stated, in regards to atmosphere, there was definitely visuals throughout with the cinematography was beautiful. There were moments that was very darkened at times we couldn't see and all that, but like I said, from his perspective, there were certain scenes where it might look dark on, say, the instance of Charlotte and Gender, but when you see it from his perspective, totally different. I kind of like that. Definitely something different I've never seen before. As well, like I said, in regards to the voice and then hearing and understanding what you're seeing. All you can see is Blake is kind of staring at her and all that. And she in the trailer talking about you're scaring me, hence that instance as well. But I like how it does tense up. There's some scenes where I will say there was one or two jump scares for me. I'm not even gonna lie. It caught me off guard, that definitely very tense throughout the film. And once it started picking up after them getting in the house, trying to set up a perimeter, trying to stay safe. But then it's like you have this evil outside, but then you're tending to what's to come inside. I will say in regards to the overall look aesthetic of consider the Wolfman, I don't really have a problem with that. He's considered, as they said, for the way it was done with the storyline, it was infected. I'm not really. I'm going to jump into that with my thoughts towards the end, but I will say, didn't really have a problem with that. I like the practical effects, throughout, like I said, with some of the gore that tends up for his slow transformation, definitely added to that. Definitely creepy. There's particular scene in there where he's kind of in a situation where he's hemmed up, and let's just say, yeah, another scene where I had to kind of look away for a second, got a little nauseous there. But yes, definitely enjoy that. I also want to note there, when I say the dynamic between his love for his daughter throughout moments within the film, I like this little engagement he had with his daughter, in regards to the way they talk to each other, say for instance, he at times, cussing, but then there was a certain scene, and I don't want to give too much of away, where they had their little thing about her, being able to read his mind, all that, and she will say something, like that, but it comes up throughout the film. There's, scenes here and there and all that. There's one significant scene with that, going towards the end of the film, and it's just really heartbreaking and sad. But I will also say as well throughout the film, and definitely with Blake, you can see him tending to why he is the way he is with his family, knowing that he dealt with certain things, probably certain traumas with his own dad, the way his upbringing was. I will also note in regards to character development, I'm not going to say so much in that instance for the simple fact that, because also there was one thing that I found really interesting and all that, and it's only so much you can flush out. I think the movie was like an hour and 47 minutes, was the simple fact of um, definitely didn't have, we didn't see a mother figure at all. So it's definitely just, mom, dad don't get to know exactly what happened there, Then also understanding a little bit more as to, what happened, the transpire where he just, finally decided, once he was of age, he left and all that, and how he didn't really work on trying to deal with his father in regards to probably reaching out, maybe visiting or whatever and all that. It was just like once we got circa 30 years later, he's an adult, has his own family and all that, and we're just going into how his life is and all that and what's going on there. And just, that. So it's almost like you're not seeing too much of a development, whatever. And also with his situation where, he definitely is a doting dad, the husband, all that, but not understanding the dynamic, okay, you're a writer, what's happened there with in regards to, why you're not working, certain things might be between jobs, fine. You're seeing the dynamic of his wife, definitely, well-polished journalist, doing her work and all that, and very, adamant and very forceful about, certain things in regards to her work. Hence, in a moment of a scene with a phone call. So that was interesting. But I like how there's moments where you do see them talk. It's just one on one with the wife and the husband. Don't flush out enough, but you get little moments here, understanding, certain things, that they need to address in regards to their relationship, and then also in regards to her, with her bond, her relationship with her daughter, as how you see the bond the daughter has with her dad. So just kind of wanted to throw that out there in regards to those instances within the film. But I will say overall, I really did enjoy this film. Like I stated, overall everything, like the directing, cinematography, the special effects, and I want to note the practical effects and all that. I want to say his name is Arjun Tuitin. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. My apologies for that. I did love the special effects and the practical effects, in regards to that. Um, and then also, like I stated, for my overall rating with this film, out of a five, I give it about a 3.8. I said more so in regards to definitely wanted a little bit more at the beginning with Blake. I really wanted to see a little bit more in regards to the family aspect with, understand, I really wanted to hear them say something when probably brought up the wife and all that, them out there in Oregon, and it's just them two, what happened to that and all that, kind of might have shaped him a little bit with how he was overall, mom's not around, whatever, and you're just with your dad, and dad giving that, as they say, want to say, tough love with him and all that, and at times, feeling, a certain way about how his father engaged him, at times and all that, very forceful with him. And then, like I said, kind of leading into how he chooses to, deal with his own family, parenting his own daughter and all that. But overall, like I said, I definitely enjoyed it. Definitely not over the top, not cheesy, definitely intense in some moments. Like I said, I got my gore. Got definitely a little bit of little action, with the wolf. I'll just put it like that. So yes, I really did enjoy this film. So before I wrap this up, whatever, I just wanted to know how in regards to I, saw a couple of things that were, pertaining to the film. Like prior to that, the Universal, was it Horror Nights, whatever, when I think they had posted about the horror, the werewolf, something leaked about the overall look and all that. I have to laugh because I like how people just ran with that, and then you see how it instantly goes into people not sure if they were going to like it, this and another, and all that. And then you see Leigh Whannell, I think he was at, of course, New York, Comic Con, and he noted that's not the design of his actual wolf. And, some people are probably happy about that. Now, mind you, fast forward, you saw how certain things kept coming out. And I really wish they didn't put it out prior to that, but it's just what it is. Now, eventually you saw some clip, I think, of the transformation. I chose to avoid it. I want to see it in the theater myself. And some people probably didn't like that. Now, I will say this, and I'm going to read this. I just want to just go there. I read saw somebody's video recently where they came back after seeing the film earlier in the week and all that, and they had noted their thoughts, whatever, and all that. And there's nothing wrong with that, but somebody in there had actually noticed something, and I wanted to say exactly for verbatim what they wrote, and I love it. It's like and they were just like, it's crazy how divisive this is. I think this movie looks absolutely phenomenal. Boo-hoo, he doesn't have enough hair. Neither did the Lycans from Underworld. The word was from Wolf. How? Penny Dreadful, while he looks sick. Yeah, that's kind of the entire premise of the particular world story for this story. It's focused more on the infection angle rather than the curse. And I was just like, and I had to tell the person, I love this comic because they were straight up right there. If I could, it's almost like he could have been reading my mind. And it's exactly. Don't have to like it, and that's okay. And I'll say it like this: it's not going to stop. The movie's done. Blade else not going back in there, going to change anything. So if you were to buy this on, Blu-ray with and all that, you're gonna get something totally different. This is the way he wanted to go. Same thing with Storyline. A lot of people always not a lot of Storylines underwhelming. Storyline was pretty much what they showed in that daggone trailer. Straightforward to the point and all that. There was not more he's going to add. This movie is under 2 hours. So clearly he kept it, right to the point, all that. Like I said, just maybe a little bit, maybe 5, 10 minutes more, something in regards to your discussion about the mother, da, 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 that would have been fine for me. But overall, I was fine with the way they did it, the overall pacing, fine, whichever. But really, like the overall, I'm like, no, no. He was very specific about that in regards to how he want to tell a story, whichever. This is not one of those word movies that we've seen in the past. Where as soon as that moon comes out, you're gonna get the Howling, or you're gonna get American Werewolf in London. They are their own films, and I'm so forever grateful for them because they damn near were traumatic to me as a child. Seeing those type of films back when I was what 8, had no business watching them, but here we are. And then other movies like Bad Moon, other ones like that, yes, I love them and I will always enjoy those. And I'm always good for something, another take on the Wolfman. And there's nothing wrong with that. If it's not your cup of tea, there's nothing great. Nobody is being forced to watch any of these films. You choose it, you don't have to like it, move on. So I could say on my instance, I did enjoy this film. I know recently Lay did say, if people like it, he would love to do something else. And if he does, great. I'm not here to compare him from him doing the Invisible Man. That's a totally different story and character development. This is a totally different story and, character development, what we got for what we have in this film. Totally different things. So I don't have no desire to do it. And with that, in this instance, I like what I saw. I like the casting. And that's pretty much all I can say about that. So you guys comment below. Let me know what you think. And with that said, I'll see you guys in the next movie review. You guys take care.